Check this out. I think there's two ways to read this, or two ways to interpret it. Tashaun Gipson, with regard to all of the talk about Steve Wilks, and this is from Mike Silver's article in the Chronicle, which is a good one. Quote, at some point, the players have to make plays. When you've got the best guys on the planet, you need them to make plays. You're not going to put them in the right spot every time. It's our job to make bad calls look good. End quote. This is two different quotes at the same time.
Yeah, two quotes inside
the
one
same
quote.
player. Yeah. Did you notice that? Because it started off with the same narrative that every Niner player is going to use, which is, hey, they're not going to sell our coach down the river. We're the ones with helmets on. We got to go make the plays. Okay, that's cookie cutter. But then he keeps going. You've got the best guys on the planet. You need them to make plays. Okay, that's now new. Now we've gone to the realm of we've got the best defensive players anywhere. I agree. Next quote. You're not going to put them in the right spot every time. It's our job to make bad calls look good.
Hello.
Now, he's still talking in generalities, but again, this is different. Sure, nobody makes the right call every time, but he's absolutely, they're bringing a new dynamic into this conversation, acknowledging that on some level, some of the calls they're getting are bad.
Of course. And if you think about Kyle Shanahan in any given game, let's say it's a game where they have 60 offensive plays, and usually it's between 50 and 80, whatever the number is. If there are 60 plays that come in, and of those 60 play calls, let's just say that 5 of them are bad. Well, it's up to the offense to make those 5 plays better than they possibly could be, or to not be catastrophes. And let's look at the Brock Purdy interception on 1st and goal at the 8. And let's just say that play call was a bad play call. And, we don't know what Brock Purdy's job on that was. It was either hand it off or a quick flip to Kittle on the shovel pass. I believe it was, a called run, but it might not have been a play that was going to work. Or the play where Brock Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship game, where let's all say what that was. That was a bad play call. You had a backup tight end, Tyler Kroft, trying to block an absolute monster of a defensive end. That was a bad play call.
I hear you, and it's a fair opinion, but
my point is
it's not fact.
Well,
because he also, but wait a minute, isn't that what they're saying? Players play. He could have blocked him.
Exactly. Or Brock Purdy could have seen Hassan Reddick coming and swallowed it and just went down like Tom Brady does so well when he played and not hold it and try to make a play and have his arm fall off, which basically cost you the game. So it was a bad play call. You had a backup tight end blocking Hassan Reddick, and you whiffed, and you got owned.
Backup tight ends block people all the time.
They do.
That's their job, actually.
In essence, a bad play call a lot of times is the result of a bad result. So 0 blitz against Minnesota with 16 seconds left. If Charvarius Ward picks that off and brings it all the way back to his house, all of a sudden it's not a bad play call.
This never came up.
It's genius.
Well, I still think it was a bad play call.
Right, but none of us would have ever, nobody would have ever said Steve Wilks' name.
No.
We would have said.
Well, Kyle would have. Don't do that again. Got away with it, but and stuff.
He knows it was a bad call and stuff, even though we got 6 points out of it. And it actually, won us the game and stuff. But I mean, so to me, what Gibson is saying is right. It's their job to take bad play calls and make them not so bad. But also, there are good play calls that players muck up.
Totally.
So it's kind of a two-way street.
Everything is nobody does anything alone. Nobody does anything
especially
alone.
In that sport, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's never, ever a scenario where you can blame one person for everything. But we're going to talk about a handful of people. We're going to talk about the quarterback. We're going to talk about the head coach. And when you have a defense that's not playing well collectively, you're going to talk about the person that's in charge. It's just the way it is. So I know that there are a lot of people who are bummed that Steve Wilks' name has come up so much. I hear the word scapegoat a whole lot. And I get it. I can't even reject that idea, but I can also say comes with the territory. And nobody knows that better than Steve. Steve has been in a leadership position for a bunch of years in a row now. It's the reason he came out yesterday and he was like, I'm built for this. Guy's been a head coach. Been a head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Do you know what happens to the Arizona Cardinals head coach every year? They get blamed.
I can honestly say I'm sort of built for this.
Thank you. Like you get blamed.
Get blamed and then fired.
You get blamed for the 6 wins. That's how it works when you're the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. You get blamed. Okay? It happens in every business, not just sport. When you're up front and the unit is not working, you get blamed. So I know for many of you it feels bad that Steve he's a scapegoat. I want you to try to look at this a different way. The defense is underperforming and he's in charge. Nobody's saying it's all his fault, but that's the way it works because he's in charge.
Right.
That's how it works.
But he's not in charge.
He is of the defense.
Right, but
yes,
he answers to Kyle Shanahan.
But he's in charge of the defense. And you know, especially with this team, when you have a head coach that is an offensive coordinator, the DC's in charge. Okay? And by the way, you reap the rewards when they play well. Ask Robert Saleh. Ask D'Amico Ryans.
You get a head coaching job.
Ask their bank account and ask them if it goes well when you're in charge. Should they get all the credit? Did Bob and D'Amico do that by themselves? Or was Nick Bosa and Fred Warner partially responsible for them and their current job position? That's how it works. So don't worry about Steve. He already told you he's fine.
He's built for this.
And he knew this. He knew this on the way in. You're a leader. You're a leader.
Right.
You either perform or you're gonna get it.
Yeah, but
you're going to get it.
In this case, it's really kind of a curiosity because if the defense doesn't play well, again, if they don't play well the rest of the year and you get to the end of the year and you think about what changes you're going to make, you're not going to fire, quote unquote, Nick Bosa and Armstead and Hargrave. And, Chase Young will be gone because he's a free agent. And maybe you won't re-sign him. Fred Warner's a made man. And
how it works.
Hufanga. And you go all the way down the roster. And, players who you can get rid of if you want to get rid of them, you can do that. But the coach, you're largely expendable and you are the scapegoat. Now, does that mean poor Steve, woe is him? No, it's the nature of the gig. Like you said, you do well, you have a good defense, and you win, you get a head coaching job somewhere.
Well, the extra problem for Steve here is that these players that you're talking about, even if you want to blame them, they have a track record. And they have a track record that is different than Steve's. They have a track record, most of them. I can't talk about Hargrave and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
They have a track record in this uniform, in this locker room, on this team. They have a track record. So, no, you don't fire them. You don't cut them. You can't, you won't, you shouldn't. Nature of the business. So Steve's going to get it the same way I acknowledge and understand that even though I don't for the life of me get why the bar ended up this high, that being the second-rated QB in the NFL is apparently some sort of question mark at the quarterback position. But there's a piece of me that gets it. Why? Because you're the quarterback. The quarterback. So if the offense scores 17 points 3 weeks in a row, nobody's going to spend any time with Christian McCaffrey's red zone fumbles. Nobody's going to do it. Why? Because he's not the quarterback.
And you're 20th in the league in fourth quarter QB rating.
Yes, you are.
And so it'd be worse, too, if that other pick that you threw wasn't at the very, 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 very end of the third quarter. If that was a fourth quarter pick.
It'd be worse.
The rating would be even worse. So, and again, for me, the bar is set by the fact that your team is really good. If you take Brock Purdy in a vacuum, second-year QB, his bar would be much lower. If he was on Carolina or the Los Angeles Rams if he was a Chicago Bear, the bar would be totally different. If he played well as a Bear and he was doing what he was doing, and I think Sam Howell is a good example, and Alex Smith in his soundbite mentioned Sam Howell, and Brock Purdy is better than Sam Howell. He's also on a better team than Sam Howell, But the bar for Brock Purdy is way higher than it is for Sam Howell.
As it should be.
Who is in the same draft.
Yes.
Because he's on a good team, and he's already shown that he can do better things than Sam Howell.
Yeah. No, the bar should be higher. It just shouldn't be this high. It shouldn't be this high. You can't be the second-rated QB in the NFL and have people go, I don't know if we should keep him.
I do think that that is.
We should go get the first-rated quarterback in the NFL. Oh, okay.
That's the extreme. I think that's the extreme portion of the fan base.
You're not wrong, but I don't think it's as small of a group as you think it is.
Yeah.
Some of it is the background of the situation. I know people think that Kyle Shanahan changes QBs like underwear. I think that that's ignoring some of the story and how we got here, injuries, etc. But I get it. I don't think that that's relevant here because that is sort of presupposing that Kyle is getting impatient with Brock Purdy. And there's zero evidence of that. Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.